Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm coming to you guys with my team builder video for the second week of the UBC playoffs. We are, of course, the coach of the Baltimore Oriolus, and we're going up against not the Violet City Moltres. Let me go ahead and update that for you guys in real time. It is none other than the Maryland Mienshaos, coached by my good friend Jack, aka Miendog. And Jack was the #1 team in the league for quite some time this season. He was undefeated all the way up until the very end when he went up against Adam in what was a mostly meaningless match. Turned out to be not completely meaningless because that put Jack as the #2 seed and Adam as the #1 seed. And because of that, since we were the 3 seed and we won our first playoff game, that squares us up against Jack. So if he hadn't lost, then we'd be going up against Adam instead, which is obviously very different. They have two very different teams, and we beat Adam, whereas we lost to Jack earlier this season. So this is another revenge game for us. Last week, we fought Kahona, who owned us in the regular season, but we were able to come through with a pretty powerful victory. And now this week, we're having to go up against Jack. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the previous match before I hop into this team builder video, but I will just say I think on paper we have a better matchup against his team, and I tried to use that to my advantage in the first match. He doesn't have a very good defogger or rapid spinner on his team. I think Staraptor gets defog, but you don't really see that on Staraptor ever. And then otherwise, yeah, he's got no means of hazard removal. So to me, that was a signal to bring spikes. But I just wasn't able to take advantage of it. I wanted to use spikes and put pressure on my opponent by forcing a lot of switches. But I just couldn't, I couldn't make the right aggressive plays. And he made the play every single time into the right Pokemon. Always knew what move I was going to go for, and I just couldn't take advantage. And that Vileplume, oh my goodness, that Vileplume screwed me over. If I had played my Quillfish better, I could have Destiny Bonded the Vileplume, and the game would have been completely different. Even though I ended up playing bad for the rest of the game, if the Vileplume was gone, I probably could have gotten over it. But we ended up losing 4-0, and that Vileplume got 3 kills. And so we have a slightly different team this time. We brought the Quillfish and the Nidoking the last time, but we're leaving them at home. And now we're bringing a slightly different team that I'm going to go ahead and show you. So we are going to start off with Life Orb, Pangoro, Superpower, Knockoff, Ice Punch, and Taunt. Superpower just hits everything on his team really hard. I think the only things it doesn't hit are, besides Cofagrigus, are the Landorus and the Vileplume, which obviously are going to be taking a lot from Ice Punch. Knockoff is there to hit Cofagrigus, and also just to, if we need to knock off Porygon, or we need to knock off anything, really. So this is, I think, going to be a better wall breaker than the Nidoking that the first time. The Nidoking, I don't know, it didn't work for some reason. It's just not for me in that game, and really this season. I'm not really proud of how I've used Nidoking. It should be so much better than what I've shown. But anyway, I think the 3 attacks here is plenty. The 4th move slot is kind of just a filler, to be quite honest, because I don't need anything. I could have run Drain Punch here, or Parting Shot, or anything like that. Circle Throw might be interesting, but Taunt might be useful for Cofagrigus or for Porygon or something like that. Sorry guys, I'm coughing straight to the microphone. Next up is Bronzong. Mixed defenses with Stealth Rock, Gyro Ball, Toxic, Hidden Power, Ice. Rocks are obviously really important because he doesn't have a good way to remove them. He has a lot of Pokemon that are pretty weak to them, like the Staraptor and the Kyurem. We want to be wearing down that Landorus, we want to be wearing down that Vileplume, we want to be wearing down that Vaporeon. And also the Porygon. Vaporeon and Porygon, those have kind of similar sounding names. Gyro Ball just because it's probably the best stab move that we have, and it hits things like Kyurem, and it should do decent damage to Staraptor and stuff. Toxic to hit Landorus, to hit Raikou, to hit his other walls, and stuff like that. And then Hidden Power Ice, because, I wasn't sure what else to put in this slot, and I wanted something to hit Landorus. I think Landorus is probably the biggest threat to this team that I've prepared. But we have ways to deal with it. We have Tomahawk, which should be able to revenge it. We have Heath Ledger with extreme speed, and we have Pangoro with Ice Punch. So we can't deal with it defensively, but we should be able to deal with it offensively. But so the Hidden Power Ice is just another response to that. So if we can get off a little bit of chip damage, maybe get 40 or 50% off on it, I'll be pretty pleased. But yeah, main function, rocks. Other function is to wall off the Staraptor and the Kyurem. That's why we have the mixed defenses. We're not going to be 2-hit KO'd by Choice Specs Focus Blast, and we're not going to be 2-hit KO'd by a Choice Banded Double Edge, or I guess Close Combat's the move that does the most to Bronzong. But we're not 2-hit KO'd by either of those moves with this spread from full. Alright, next. Heath Ledger with Safety Goggles. Rocking kind of a funny set. Sacred Fire, Flare Blitz, Extreme Speed, and Howl. Now, the only fire resist that he has on his team is that Vaporeon. So there wasn't much reason to pack any other moves this week. So I'm packing Sacred Fire because that's the best move that Entei has. It's one of the best moves in the game, honestly. Flare Blitz in case we feel like we need some extra damage. Extreme Speed because it's a good move. And Howl as sort of a filler. So if we find an occasion to go for Howl, who knows, we'll give it a shot. But it's just really for filler. I think the most interesting thing on this Entei is the Safety Goggles. Now, Jack should know that my primary switch into Vileplume is going to be this Entei because I threaten it so much offensively. And while it doesn't really tank a Sludge Bomb, it can take one and then threaten his whole team with Sacred Fire. So I think if you were to rock Sleep Powder, that would be a really good move because it, this Vileplume lures in my Entei, and then he could just completely neutralize this a tremendous threat that I have on my team. So that's why we're going with the Safety Goggle, because I don't want to get caught off guard like that. Because Entei is just too good in this matchup not to have at full strength. It's Adamant Nature because you have to have that with Extreme Speed. And also with Flare Blitz. You can't have Flare Blitz without this, I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. Put enough speed in there to outspeed a Modest or Adamant Kyurem. Could have run max speed Adamant to speed tie with Staraptor and stuff, but I'm not leaving this. I'm not risking a speed tie against Staraptor, especially when he's most likely going to be either Jolly or he's going to be Adamant Scarf. So I didn't think there was a point. And the rest we just dumped into Spadaf in case we needed to take a Sludge Bomb a little harder, or you needed to take a Tri-Attack or a Thunderbolt from Porygon 2 or something like that. So that's Entei. Next up is Tomahawk. Dragon Pulse, Giga Drain, Focus Blast, Leaf Storm. Very similar set to last time. It's the exact same EV spread if I'm not mistaken. I think the only difference is that we're not packing Hidden Power Ice, because Leaf Storm in theory should nuke Landorus T pretty hard. So I still am. Last time I wanted to weaken his team to the point where Sceptile could sweep. I still think that that's very possible. So even though I'm going about it through different means, like I'm not hazard stacking this time, Sceptile should be able to kill if I can get rid of the Vileplume. And I do have a trick for that later in this video. But yeah, he just doesn't have anything that can take this on. He has to bring some sort of Scarfmon in order to take me on. Otherwise, I think I have the coverage to really take on his team. I don't think he has a single Dragon Resist on his team. He just has, if he brings a specially bulky Vileplume, then that's his best answer. So Sceptile, I'm going to be relying on a lot this week. Next up is Tuscan, with kind of I wouldn't call it a unique spread, but it's different than what I've brought this season. We're bringing Rapid Spin, Toxic, Protect, and Earthquake, fully specially defensive. Last time I brought Unaware Clefable to counter Raikou, but this time Excadrill is going to counter the Raikou. Because even a +1 Hidden Power Ice does like 25-30%. It does so little. The only thing that's going to be scary is if he packs Aura Sphere. But you need to have some sort of weird event Raikou in order to do that. It has to run like a Rash Nature or something like that. What does Rash Nature even do? It's Rash is plus special attack minus special defense. So it has that. And I think it's because the event Raikou also has extreme speed, so that's why they didn't want to make it minus attack nature, I guess. But yeah, it just doesn't. I don't really see it because he has to run that weird nature. And also, I would have been able to tell because I think it's the same as with Entei. It has to be a shiny Raikou in order to have those sorts of moves. But I could be totally wrong. If I'm totally wrong, just please let me know in the comments. But yeah, this is going to be the answer to that. And then I think the real all-star on this set is the Toxic. Because, as I was saying with Heath Ledger, his Vileplume can lure in the Entei and go for Sleep Powder. Excadrill lures in the Landorus, and we can hit it up with that Toxic. And that's going to be really important because, as I mentioned, I don't really have a great way of taking it down. So if I can just get some Toxic Protect Stall on that thing, that's probably going to be the best way for me to weaken his Landorus. Because then I can come in with Tomahawk and I can click Giga Drain and take the thing out. Or I can go for Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse actually does more damage. So that's the goal with Excadrill. Obviously, Rapid Spin is an important move on this set because I have Pokemon like Heath Ledger that are very weak to Stealth Rock. And Landorus is his only rocker, so if I don't see it, then I won't need to click Rapid Spin for any reason. But obviously, you need to have it. Entei's too important to not protect it. And then last but not least, I think we have the best set of the week. We've got Life Orb, Calm Mind, Clefable, with Moonblast, Fire Blast, Calm Mind, Soft Boiled. It's a toss-up for me between Ice Beam and Fire Blast. At +1, Fire Blast does like 94% minimum to a fully specially defensive Vileplume, whereas Ice Beam only did like 75. So Ice Beam would be nice because it hits the Landorus equally, or it hits it for 4 times super effective, whereas Fire Blast doesn't hit it for any special damage. Sorry. But the Moonblast does quite a bit to Landorus. It shouldn't, if he's offensive, Moonblast is going to kill at +1 with this spread. The only thing that stinks is we have to take an Earthquake. But it shouldn't do more than like 60% to this spread. We did put some extra speed into this to outspeed Vaporeon. Not because Vaporeon is a threat, but because since we're not especially bulky, every little sliver of HP that we can preserve on Clefable is going to be really important. But yeah, his only Fairy Resist is Vileplume, and Vileplume gets OHKO'd by +1 Fire Blast. And we can easily set up on the Cofagrigus, we can set up on the Porygon, we can set up on the Vaporeon. There's a lot of potential for this Clefable to do work this week. I almost just brought 3 attacks soft-boiled on this, but we were thinking about it, and the Calm Mind just made so much more sense. It really, really pressures his team. If we get the right opportunity, I don't think that this Clefable can lose. So that is the team. I'm still really nervous, you guys, because everything's on the line here. If we get knocked out, obviously, or if we lose this match, we will get knocked out. And, this league is for fun. I'm just happy that we've made it this far. All those sorts of things that you hear, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be really invested in this match and really give it my all. It will mean a lot to me if I can beat Jack. He's a good friend and someone I respect a lot as a battler. And not to mention that if we do win this game, we will find ourselves in the championship. So please be sure to check back tomorrow for the championship match, or it's not the championship match. Wow, I'm getting I'm getting ahead of myself now. All of a sudden, I'm like, maybe if I win, I'll make it. And now I'm saying I'm going to get to the championship. Anyway, you can catch tomorrow our semifinal match, and you will see if we are able to get to the championship. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please be sure to check back for more Pokemon content. And until the next time, I will see you guys later.